will you please keep your overreaching speech codes away from my freedom of speech? The free speech being exercised by citizens during a public meeting, during testimony, is absolutely necessary for the government to conduct its day-to-day business. During a limited public forum, the Supreme Court recognized the dual function of such public meetings to conduct public business and hear the views of citizens. It has become apparent that for those who cannot afford campaign contributions or lobbyists, public meetings may be the only opportunity to speak face-to-face to elected officials and to try to influence their votes on important issues. Again, we need to start showing respect for the citizens that appear here during public testimony and understand they have every much right to be in these buildings, to hear their voices, and to portray their ideas to you as you have sitting in those seats as elected officials. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I want to first thank you for Tuesday's event. It was awesome to be recognized as a public health hero. What brought me here today was a little more around workforce development. A lot of my ideas that I have floating in the various communities I'm affiliated with is how do we put more people back to work, earning a living that they can afford to pay for the enormous rents they're now being asked to pay. So Tuesday night after attending, I'm also a member of the Portland Housing Advisory Commission, PHAC. And so we heard a presentation from PDC, the Portland Development Commission, around the millions of dollars they want to pour into workforce development for healthcare technology, and technology in itself in all these other areas. And so what I wanted to ask you today was to think about the new workforce called peer-delivered service workforce that we're all trying to get approved and on the books this year with the county, because I believe that if we united our forces with the Portland Development Commission around workforce development, we could create a much more robust workforce at far less cost, and the money that we're pouring into the systems could be better used between all of the agencies. So I just want to let you know that PDC gave a great presentation. You should have them come here and give it to you so we can learn more about the programs that are out there for the youth and for the adults to help them get living wage jobs in the industries we're all trying to support. So I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak and to let you know I'm out there looking for ways to help people who are very vulnerable and very displaced get a living wage job that they can go back to work in. And so your support is really necessary as we move forward in the peer-delivered workforce movement. So thank you all for your time, and I hope we can do more business together.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good afternoon. Hey, everybody. My name is Matthew Charles Cardinale. I am a member of the Non-Departmental Citizen Budget Advisory Committee, and I've been an advocate for affordable housing for about 20 years, which means since I was 14. I'm here to speak in favor of the emergency rent control measure and demand the rent freeze. The support for this is massive and extensive. In our communities, all we're hearing people talking about is the skyrocketing cost of housing. So I believe we will have rent control. It's just a matter of time.
That's right.
I attended Shama Savant's emergency town hall meeting actually a year ago. In April 2015, the tenants there built a movement to pass a resolution asking the state to allow Washington to allow rent control in the cities there. The level of enthusiasm and class consciousness here is equal, if not greater, I believe. We need rent control because we cannot solve this problem by throwing more money at it. When market rate has no end, no constraint, not even supply and demand. Some people won't like to hear this, but the vouchers that we're funding, the subsidies that reimburse property owners, we eat them up like grits, but they inflate our housing costs. Not addressing the real problem, not bringing the costs down, and it makes the problem worse. Even inclusionary zoning is premised on using zoning incentives to reimburse property owners for their affordable units. We have to get some control on the cost issue, and that is rent control.
Yes.
On a related note, I wanted to share with you, in 2014, I wrote a model ordinance for something called affordable housing impact statements. And it's almost uncanny that the previous speaker said that we need to consider impact statements for health, most importantly of which is housing. I asked the clerk to distribute this to you, the 7 copies. But basically, it would require local jurisdictions to prepare and consider the impact of public policy decisions on the local housing stock. We need to get a handle on the impact of land use decisions, decisions about how to allocate federal grant dollars in terms of how affordability is defined. This model bill was adopted in Atlanta in November of last year and is currently being considered in Pittsburgh, New Orleans, and Albany, New York. I believe Multnomah County could benefit from such a policy, especially as a tool to consider potential benefits of various proposals to address our housing crisis. So I've been working with Nick Fish in the city of Portland, and I'd be happy to work with any of you all. This is actually the draft ordinance that passed in Atlanta, and I asked the clerk to distribute it to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to my staff right over here, Liz Smith-Curry, about this. Thank you.
John Walsh, David Davis, Marcia Brewer, and Greg McElvey, please, from Portland.
You can start. You're waiting.
Thank you for hearing us. Bear with me, guys. They already heard this morning, but I'm going to repeat myself. So I've been living in my apartment for 20.
State your name first.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marcia Breuer. I have been living in my apartment for 21 years. The landlord passed away a few years ago, and the complex was sold. Naturally, we were concerned that it happened, but then it happened. Of the 16 units, most everyone got no-cause evictions. And the 2 of us who lived there the longest were graced with outrageous rent hikes. Mine being $365 a month as of July. I'm on Social Security. I work 2 jobs, 6 days a week. I cannot keep up, even now, before the rents have been raised. The new owners came into my apartment, looked around, and took photos in my private space without so much as a request to take those photos. They later came early in the mornings without any warnings, no notices. Mind you, this is illegal. I mean, come on. And started pulling off siding off the sides of our duplex, going under the crawl space, banging, hammering, sawing, and this went on for 2 weeks, shaking our building. If this wasn't intimidation tactics, it certainly was reprehensible business practices. The climate of apathy and disregard of fellow neighbors and renters in our city now is intolerable and totally unacceptable. What is happening to so many of us being displaced is not only about being kicked out of our long-standing neighborhoods and communities, which is a horror in itself, but a larger issue of systemic greed disease, I call it. Our homes as renters have become commodities to be bought and sold to the highest bidder. The rug being pulled out from under us as our lives are disrupted and traumatized to beyond. We are thrown out, our rents doubled or tripled or more. We must really stop these outrageous rent hikes and freeze them, and we need no-cause evictions to be eliminated completely. Also, how can we even find another place to live? I have been looking for the last year, and the affordable housing is almost non-existent. There are 1 to 3 years, maybe longer, waiting lists, and I'm on many of them. I get no callbacks. I'm sorry.
Stay strong.
The demolition of our city, our neighborhoods, our communities, and of our people and our very lives is really appalling. What's happening in Portland now?
Yes.
And so I also said this. Oh, can I just have 1 more minute?
Let her talk now.
I just want to invite, and I said this outside, and I wasn't going to say it here, but I invite everyone who's not experiencing this right now to think about having your rents and mortgages doubled and tripled. I invite you also to live in homeless camps for a very long time. Really, to experience that. I invite you to walk many miles in our shoes without the privileges that are so taken for granted. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Who would like to speak next? Joe, you're up.
Good morning. My name is Joe Walsh. I represent Individuals for Justice, and I'm also a renter. And we received an $80 raise in our rent. We can handle that. Can't handle too much more. And that's the problem. There's nothing stopping these landlords from doing this kind of stuff. And if you fight them, they have the 90-day clause that they can throw you out without cause. So we're really in a catch-22. And these people that came to see you today are asking you for help. And how do you treat them? You remove all the furniture in the lobby. Why would you do that? You're paranoid. These are very non-violent people. They come to you and they ask, would you help us? And you remove the furniture. I was protesting the sheriff. So when I got inside, I was really tired. You all know that.